Now at 5, when Bourbon County voters will decide a sales tax proposal to fund an emergency department. Plus, homeless camps have returned to 2 areas of Pittsburgh the city had previously cleared. And
former President Donald Trump is in court to try and dismiss the federal classified documents case against him. I'm Natalie Brand with what his attorneys are arguing and why the judge has signaled some skepticism.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
We're keeping an eye on the sky for any new developments, but it looks like the worst of the severe weather that rumbled through parts of the area this afternoon is moving out. This is KOAM News at 5. I'm Dow Quick. Let's get the latest from Chief Meteorologist Doug Heddy.
Yeah, we had quite a bit of severe weather earlier this afternoon. Most of it was along and south of I-44. Still, a tornado watch in effect on the Missouri side and also northeastern Oklahoma until 9 p.m., but it will slowly start cutting off on the back side as all the biggest storms now are pushing well east of Springfield. Now, the cold front is still working through the region very slowly, so we are getting some thunderstorms, but these have been behaving, staying just below severe limits over the past few hours. But we are going to continue to get some development along this front as it works through. So we still are going to see scattered thunderstorms as we go through the next few hours, but the overall severe threat is dropping. You can actually see a lot of hail reports with some of these storms earlier today, mainly along and south of I-44. So of course, we're going to talk more about this and what is to come here in just a bit.
See you soon. Bourbon County, Kansas residents will vote in May on a sales tax proposal to fund emergency services. County commissioners this week approved the resolution calling for a special election. If the measure is passed, it would add a 1/4-cent retail sales tax in the county for 5 years. That money would be used to establish and operate a Bourbon County emergency department. It comes after the emergency room in Fort Scott closed last year. A special election is going to be on May 14th. In the past year, the city of Pittsburgh has experienced a spike in its homeless population. Complaints to City Hall eventually led to ordinance changes prohibiting tent living within city limits. But in the last month, homeless camps have returned to 2 areas the city had previously cleared. Pittsburgh City Manager Darren Hall says there isn't enough affordable housing in Pittsburgh for everyone, and that's a big part of the problem.
But as the city manager and pretty clear orders from the city commission, we're going to take care of the people in Pittsburgh as best we can, and most of that is accomplished in this area with our partnerships.
Tonight at 6, KOAM's Tanya Bach shows us how one Southeast Kansas partner organization plans to remedy the housing shortage and help reduce the number of homeless in Pittsburgh. Students at Carl Junction High School were able to get a head start today as they prepare to take the next step in their lives. Representatives from the Joplin Job Center help students by reviewing their resumes, conducting mock interviews, and assisting students' job search. The event is targeted towards students who've decided to enter the workforce straight out of high school.
I haven't gone through the mock interviews just yet, but I am looking forward to those because I always have only been through so many interviews so far, only having one job. So I'm really looking forward to what those questions are going to be, critiques on those questions, how to word the answers better to make it seem like I know what I'm talking about.
The Joplin Job Center is also open to the public and offers the same services used today by the students. Former President Donald Trump was in Florida in a courtroom again today, this time trying to have one of his criminal cases dismissed altogether. Meanwhile, the judge in a case in Georgia is weighing another motion Trump's attorneys have filed. Natalie Brand has more details from Washington, D.C.
Outside the federal courthouse in Fort Pierce, Florida, Thursday, former President Trump's supporters gathered as he and lawyers arrived for a hearing to try and get the classified documents case dismissed.
There are basically 2 motions to dismiss that are on the docket for today, where Judge Cannon said, clear the day, we're going to talk about both of these.
Attorneys spent the morning discussing Trump's motion that the statute he's been charged with is unconstitutionally vague. Judge Eileen Cannon, a Trump appointee, signaled skepticism, telling Trump's attorney declaring a statute unconstitutionally vague is an extraordinary step. Trump's legal team also contends the former president is shielded from prosecution by the Presidential Records Act, arguing he was still the president when many of the documents were packed and delivered to Mar-a-Lago. Prosecutors say the act does not exempt Trump from criminal law or entitle him to declare highly classified presidential records are personal. In the Georgia election interference case, the judge there tossed out 3 of the 13 counts against the former president, but legal analysts say most of that case remains intact.
The crux of the case remains the racketeering, which is the core of the case. All of those charges stand. But the prosecution could fairly easily go to a grand jury and say, we are going to add that specificity now.
Judge Scott McAfee has not yet ruled on whether District Attorney Fani Willis should be removed from the case over a romantic relationship with Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, Washington.
Judge McAfee said he set himself a deadline for this week to issue the ruling regarding Fani Willis. Vice President Harris toured a Minnesota clinic that provides abortion services to draw attention to what she calls a serious health crisis affecting women in the U.S. Minnesota passed a new law guaranteeing the right to abortion, but neighboring states, including North Dakota and South Dakota, have passed bans. Harris has been focusing on reproductive rights as she tries to turn out women, progressives, and young voters in the upcoming presidential election.
Since Roe was overturned, I have met women who have had miscarriages in toilets. I met a woman who went to the emergency room to receive care and was turned away repeatedly because the doctors were afraid that they could go to jail for giving her care, and it wasn't until she developed sepsis.
The vice president's office says Harris's trip to Planned Parenthood, which provides abortion services, was a first for any president or vice president. Still ahead, raising awareness of a severe brain disorder.
It's a brain disorder that isn't talked about much, but makes communication tough for millions. I'm Jared Hill with how volunteers are helping patients free of charge.
Plus, how the food you eat before donating blood could impact the recipient. Those stories next in Health Watch. Topping today's Health Watch, the food you eat just before donating blood could trigger the food allergies of the person who receives it. Researchers in Japan discovered there was a reaction when they exposed the blood of children with food allergies to blood taken from donors who ate milk, wheat, or eggs. Children in particular are at a risk for allergic reactions when receiving blood transfusions. Millions of Americans are living with some type of brain injury, a resulting disorder known as aphasia, made famous by Bruce Willis and Wendy Williams, makes even the simplest task, like speaking, a challenge. During this March Brain Injury Awareness Month, Jared Hill introduces us to a group trying to help retrain brains across the country free of charge.
Okay, now we're going to get to the harder words, okay?
This basic reading lesson.
Fahrenheit.
By.
Okay, say it after me.
Fahrenheit. That's right.
Perfect.
Is a lifeline for Adrian Morales. Nearly 10 years after a stroke left the one-time accountant a completely different man.
When it happened, I couldn't. It was kind of scary, and then I couldn't talk.
He's one of an estimated 2 million Americans living with a brain disorder called aphasia, gaining in notoriety since the diagnoses of Bruce Willis and Wendy Williams.
It's really damage to the brain, the language area, and it can happen from a stroke, a traumatic brain injury, brain cancer.
Virginia Hill is a speech and language pathologist who volunteers with the International Aphasia Movement.
We're working on neuroplasticity. That means different areas of the brain opening up. So with a lot of repetition, people can relearn some of the skills that they lost.
The organization provides people like Adrian with free therapy, in person, online, in groups, and in multiple languages.
You all are here trying to fill a gap or really kind of extend services and extend treatment beyond what insurance might provide.
Yes, maybe you get 10 sessions or even 6 months, but people can be recovering over several years.
Before, I was awful. But these years, I'm a lot better. You know?
Adrian says it's not just the treatment that's helped, but the support from the community he's gained.
You can do better, and like that's like me, that you have to keep trying. You know,
encouraging him to always look forward. Jared Hill, CBS News, New York.
Now, earlier this month, advocates with the Brain Injury Association of America visited Capitol Hill to urge lawmakers to reauthorize the Traumatic Brain Injury Program Act, which they say helps fund rehab and community support initiatives. That is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, federal investigators are taking action after a cyber attack hobbled the healthcare industry.
Plus, we still have some scattered thunderstorms sticking around this evening. We're going to look at that coming up. Well, of course, scattered showers and thunderstorms through the afternoon hours, and quite a few of those were strong to severe, especially along and south of the I-44 corridor. We still have the clouds. We still have some showers across the region, but other areas, you're breaking out and seeing plenty of sunshine. Here's a nice shot of Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. All right, we still have a tornado watch out until 9 p.m. on the Missouri-Arkansas side, and then back into northeastern parts of Oklahoma. This is slowly going to chop off from west to east as we go through the next couple hours as our overall severe threat continues to drop. Look at these big monster storms drove right up the I-44 corridor, right into southwestern Missouri, and then now the biggest storms are out across central parts of Missouri. But we still have the front, which is kind of draped back, so you can see these thunderstorms, Lamar to Pittsburgh, and then this little line into northeastern parts of Oklahoma. So along this front, we're still going to get some scattered thunderstorms over the next few hours, but most of those will stay below severe limits, but still something we'll watch closely. You can see this thunderstorm right on top of Lamar and then kind of stretches back into northeastern parts of Cherokee County. But again, overall severe threat is going down. All this action is moving off toward the east. You can see the higher severe threat is now off to our south and east as we go through the rest of the evening hours. Behind this system, we're actually going to start to cool down. Sunshine still upper 70s to near 80. Clouds, showers, and thunderstorms sitting into the 60s. And you can see where that front is on our 7th and range line tower cam. 67 south winds at about 9 miles per hour, and the wind shift line really from Fort Scott back toward Parsons. So that is the cold front that is going to be pushing through. All right, so scattered thunderstorms next few hours, and then we'll start to drop off as we go through the overnight hours tonight. And we're going to cool down as we head into the weekend. We have these northwesterly flow right out of parts of Canada. And then this guy, he's just hanging out here for the next several days. Eventually, we'll kick out into the Central Plains next week. And that's when we'll get chances for showers and thunderstorms again. But we're going to be much calmer as we go through the next few days. All right, a lot of clouds tonight. We'll drop back upper 40s to near 50 degrees. Still a lot of clouds tomorrow, partly to mostly cloudy skies. We'll go into lower 50s by noon. I think most of us upper 50s to near 60 for an afternoon high. Still a lot of clouds tomorrow night and into Saturday, a cooler start near 40, but Saturday afternoon overall looks pretty good as we should go into the mid 60s during the afternoon. Day planner on your Friday, 49 to start, 53 by noon. High temp right around 59 degrees as we go into Friday, but back to 66 on Saturday. And then we go the other direction, 58 on Sunday, down to high of only 49 on Monday. So it is going to cool down right back near 70 Tuesday and Wednesday. So all over the place, but we get a chance to dry out as we go through the next few days.
That'll be nice. Some areas have gotten quite a soaking.
They really have, yeah.
A high of 49.
I know, kind of cold.
Thanks, Doug. Coming up, a new report shows how many Americans are withdrawing funds from retirement accounts early. Topping today's Consumer Watch, a record number of people took money from their retirement accounts in 2022 and 2023, according to the investment company Vanguard. Rising inflation over the last few years has put more pressure on Americans to pay their bills. The IRS allows early withdrawals from 401ks for hardships like avoiding foreclosure, medical expenses, or tuition payments. But financial experts say that doesn't necessarily mean it's a good idea.
Whatever you take out, that's going to be taxed. It hasn't been taxed yet, right? If you're under age 59 and a half, there's an additional 10% whack of a penalty. This is a double tax whammy.
Crazy.
Also, it's really hard once you get that money out to get it back in.
Survey also found more Americans are actually saving for their retirement, and savings increased 43% from a year earlier. The healthcare industry is hobbled after a recent cyber attack against a major healthcare firm. That hack is causing big financial headaches for the industry, and it comes as senior White House officials are calling on healthcare providers to get essential funds back to the health sector. But that isn't the only concern for federal investigators right now, and they announced they're taking action. John Lorenk reports.
The Department of Health and Human Services is going to put Change Healthcare on the operating table.
The system is fragile to fraud and computer hacking, and that's what happened in this case.
Last month, Change Healthcare was hit with what the American Hospital Association calls, quote, the most significant and consequential cyber attack on the U.S. healthcare system in American history.
It shows how vulnerable our whole system is and how dependent we are on the internet anymore.
The insurance billing firm is involved in roughly 1/3 of U.S. patient records, and the HHS will investigate into whether Change Healthcare properly protected their data in compliance with the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. Meanwhile,
if you're looking at a copay discount card, you're probably not going to be able to use that at this point in time until the system is fixed.
The hack has disrupted medical payments from insurance companies to health providers over the past few weeks, and that's leaving some clinics strapped for cash.
It's very disheartening because we want to deliver the medications to our patients that we serve.
A spokesperson for Change Healthcare and its parent company United Health Group tells CNN it will cooperate with the HHS investigation. I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Officials at Change Healthcare say the criminal group Black Cat is responsible for that hack. The Justice Department has previously said that organization has been involved in other ransomware attacks worldwide. A new report from the FCC highlights the digital divide among Americans. It found that 24 million people still don't have access to high-speed internet. That's 7% of the nation's population. The issue is most prevalent in rural areas and on tribal land. The report also included newly adopted revisions as to what qualifies as high-speed internet. It set download standards at 100 megabits per second and upload standards at 20. Final check of the forecast next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, America gets a step closer to another moon landing in our lifetime. Then on KOAM News at 6, the Wesley House in Pittsburgh announces a change to how clients can get their food from the pantry. Plus, how a Southeast Kansas organization hopes to remedy the housing shortage and reduce the homeless population. And Missouri Southern softball hosts a doubleheader against Augustana. Those stories, a lot more. It's all coming up tonight. KOAM News at 6. The rarest U.S. stamp is expected to sell for millions of dollars at auction. It's the 1868 1-cent Z Grill, which features a profile of Benjamin Franklin, the nation's first postmaster general. There are only 2 known copies. The other one is held at the New York Public Library. The one going for auction, that one belongs to billionaire investor Bill Gross and is expected to sell for up to $5 million. That would make it the single most expensive U.S. stamp ever sold. So yes, postal rates have gone up, some over time, but no, they're not that high.
That's crazy.
Yeah, $5 million for a 2-cent stamp.
Hey, if you got the money.
Maybe.
All right, still some scattered thunderstorms for us sticking around over the next couple hours and then clearing out later on tonight. Cooling down as well, 59 tomorrow, 66 on Saturday.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you right back here at 6. Let's make it a great evening.